Okay, it's a warm room. Good morning and welcome. Thank you to members of the press for joining us today, and for the leaders of our public safety departments, including the Seattle Police Department, Amy Barden, Chief of our Care Department, and Fire Chief Scoggins. I also want to recognize Assistant Chief Tyrone Davis, who was in charge on Sunday at the Seattle Center and supporting the officers who ran into the line of fire to save lives. Chief Barnes was appointed by Mayor Harrell and made real contributions to public safety in this city. On Sunday, officers of the Seattle Police Department responded with professionalism, courage, and care for the people in front of them. Chief Barnes expressed his pride in them, and so do I. I am grateful for his service, and I share his hope that we can return our full focus to what matters most right now: addressing youth gun violence and making sure that every family in this city can feel safe in their neighborhood and across Seattle. That work does not wait, and I do not take lightly what it means to make decisions that affect people's safety and their lives. I love this city and the people who make it what it is. And this is what I know to be true about Seattle. This is a city full of people who are trying to do right by their families, their neighbors, and their communities. People who go to festivals and block parties and neighborhood events because they want to be together, because they want to enjoy everything this city has to offer and all of the wonderfully diverse people who live here. Every parent, renter, commuter, and immigrant should be able to walk to the light rail, drop their kids off at school, shop at a neighborhood small business, and cross the street without fear. Every neighborhood deserves parks and public spaces that anyone can enjoy and feel proud of. All young people should have positive places to gather and develop that don't involve guns and plans to harm each other. Belonging in this city includes the unconditional right to be safe in it. Keeping those people safe is the job. Everything else we want to build for this city starts there. Seattle deserves a public safety system that works. That means showing up for every neighborhood in the ways that work for them, investing in what keeps harm from happening in the first place, and making sure that when something happens, we send the right people and the right tools for what that moment requires. Safety built around what residents actually need, not just what we decide to give them, and that actually solves problems rather than moves them from one block to the next. That is what earning trust looks like. And I'm standing here because we are taking a significant step in turning that vision into reality. I have selected Deputy Chief Andre Sayles to be the interim police chief of this department. I chose Andre Sayles because he has done this job before and can hit the ground running. He served as chief of police in Wisconsin, where he led with a community-focused approach that strengthened both public safety and community trust. He has earned the respect of our police force in his time here, and that is exactly what we need right now. His background spans the full range of what this role requires. He has serious investigative and operational credentials, having led specialized units, including a drug and gang investigative unit, and served on a SWAT team for 12 years, including 4 years as team leader. He understands complex investigations. He understands tactical operations. He understands how to build and lead specialized teams. And he is deeply committed to community policing and youth engagement, consistently prioritizing the relationships between law enforcement and the people being served. That philosophy aligns directly with what I believe effective public safety looks like in Seattle. And he will not be leading alone. Deputy Chief Yvonne Underwood has been inside this department since 1997. She has led accountability reform, overseen use of force investigations, managed the Professional Standards Bureau, and built the systems that keep this department answerable to our public. She is the kind of steady, experienced leader that this moment calls for. I have confidence in this command staff, and I have confidence in the members of the Seattle Police Department who show up every single day to serve this city. Interim Chief Sayles and I share a vision for what public safety in Seattle looks like, and he is ready to do the work it takes to get us there. Now I'm excited for you to hear directly from him.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson. Good morning, everyone. Mayor Wilson, thank you for this opportunity. I don't take this responsibility lightly. This week has been difficult, but I also know what this department and city are capable of when we come together with a common goal of keeping our community safe. My commitment to you all is simple. We'll be one department, united and grounded in service, pride, and dedication. It is not just a slogan, but a standard we at the Seattle Police Department hold each of us to. Every shift, every call, and every community interaction. The ongoing investigation in the Seattle Center shooting remains a top priority. The men and women of this department continue working tirelessly to identify and arrest anyone responsible. In light of the tragic incident, the Seattle Police Department has heard from our community about safety concerns at public gatherings and events. We hear you. We understand your anxiety. In response to these concerns, the Seattle Police Department will increase staffing at all remaining major summer events. The department is currently reviewing staffing plans for all other upcoming events, as well as will ensure we have an appropriate number of officers on hand. While SPD does not discuss specific staffing numbers at events, you can be assured that the busy events that's occurring this weekend will be fully staffed. You will see an increase of foot patrol officers, bike officers, POET officers, which is our police outreach engagement team officers, and other units from the police department. I look forward to the city's future, and I'm confident that ongoing efforts of our sworn professionals, staff here at SPD, to ensure the safety and transparency, which is my highest priority. Again, thank you, Mayor Wilson, and everyone in the city of Seattle for providing me with this opportunity to work along this team and everyone in this amazing city. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Sayles. I hope what you're hearing from Interim Chief Sayles today helps you understand the confidence that I have in his leadership. The safety of people in this city is our first obligation, and we are ready to meet it this weekend and every day that follows. Now I want to talk about how we are moving forward to find a permanent chief. Permanent search will focus on someone who drives operational excellence and leads organizational change. About the process, we will be moving forward with urgency to begin a search for a new permanent police chief. The process for selecting a new permanent chief is set by the city charter, and we will follow that process with the transparency and community engagement the city deserves. We have let Councilmember Kettle know about our intention to partner on this search, and I look forward to working with him and the council on this process. It is a rigorous process with multiple layers of accountability, and that is exactly as it should be for one of the most consequential appointments a mayor can make. What the charter requires is a floor, not a ceiling. And I'm committed to making sure that the people of Seattle have a genuine voice in shaping what we are looking for in our next chief, and we will build real community engagement into every stage of this search. The people of Seattle deserve a voice in this selection, and I'm committed to making sure they have one. The chief will be accountable to the communities of this city, and that means the communities of this city need to be part of choosing who leads this department. As we move forward, we will be announcing a search committee that reflects the full diversity of Seattle, bringing together voices and stakeholders from across our neighborhoods and communities. We will build a meaningful engagement process into this search so that residents have a real opportunity to shape what we're looking for in our next chief. I want to say a little bit about what I will be looking for in a new permanent chief. I will be looking for someone who can be an effective leader of our police department from top to bottom. In particular, that means listening to and building relationships with the people standing behind me, the experienced and dedicated people who are leading our officers on the ground in neighborhoods across our city every single day. I will be looking for someone who can earn the respect of our police force while also leading needed changes to culture and protocol in a way that is firm and fair. I will be looking for someone who can practice clear communication in stressful situations. I will be looking for someone who is consistently present in Seattle, keeping travel to an appropriate minimum, and who also ensures that when they are away, there is sufficient SPD leadership in town to guide our city through any emergency. I will be looking for someone who can navigate the inevitable criticism that comes with this job and who can course correct with grace when needed. I will be looking for someone who understands the value of our alternative crisis response system, our care and fire departments and our service providers, and can forge the partnerships needed to make that successful so that we are sending the right response to every situation and our police can focus on policing. And I will be looking for a chief who moves in strong partnership with our accountability agencies to ensure effective policing in our city and active pathways for community feedback and input into how SPD approaches its work. We have work to do to reduce gun violence, to support our youth and keep them out of harm's way, to make sure that every neighborhood across our city feels safe and is safe. I know we can do this, and I know how important the relationship between my office and SPD is to our success. Despite the challenges of this moment, I feel deeply hopeful about the future of our police department and of public safety in Seattle. I believe that the vast majority of people in our city want the same thing. We want a response to public safety problems that is both compassionate and effective. We want our police to perform their essential role with professionalism and care, and we also understand that achieving true public safety goes far beyond policing, to how we invest in our communities, support our families and youth, and how we respond to and care for people in crisis. I believe that we can make great progress, and I am looking forward to working with Chief Sayles, our police department, our city council members, and everyone in communities around Seattle to make this happen. Thank you. Okay, all right.
Mayor, you still haven't told the people of Seattle why. Was it him being out of the city too often? Was it taking too long to release information that night? Or was it the kerfuffle with the reporter? Or was it all four?
I will say that in the conversations that I had with Chief Barnes over the last few days that resulted in our mutual agreement to his resignation, there were multiple factors, some of which were related to the events of Sunday, but that certainly was not the only thing.
Mayor Wilson, I wanted to ask about your relationship with the City Council because many of them were very critical of this decision and very critical of your leadership in this moment. I want to give you a chance to respond to that and explain how you're going to improve relationships with City Council, especially as you need them to move forward with on policies for the city.
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. Yeah, I understand that many of my colleagues on the City Council disagree with the decision to move forward with a leadership change at SPD at this time. And I respect their differences of opinion. I guess what I will say is that as the mayor, as the executive of the city, I do have a different window into our police department than they do. And I'm confident that as we move forward with our search for a permanent chief, we will be able to come together because I really think that we want the same thing for our city, and I think we're looking for a lot of the same qualities in a leader for this department.
Criticism of your leadership in this moment.
I am making what I firmly believe is the right decision at the right time.
Yeah, Chief, Mayor Wilson, you had released a high-level gun violence reduction plan, and much of that plan relies, of course, on the Seattle Police Department, buy-in from the council, and parts of our community. And right now, you've got a new police chief. You're at odds with the council, and at least some voices in our community, of course, objected to your move here. Considering the situation now, what is the status of this plan, and what does the timeline look like for you to be able to implement this gun violence reduction plan in our city?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited and extremely committed to moving forward with this plan, which, as you noted, has been in development this year in partnership with council members, in partnership with community, but we need to move forward, right? And some of this was kicked off back in late January when we had the tragic shooting of youth in Rainier Beach, and that really kickstarted a lot of this. And I really believe that we're going to be able to move forward more effectively now with this change. I really appreciate council's commitment to this work, and especially Councilmember Rivera, who I know has been working on these issues for years. And my office participated in a symposium that she organized recently that included national experts in gun violence reduction. And we've been talking specifically about the group violence interruption, which is a part of the strategy that's been successful in cities like Baltimore that we haven't necessarily really used here. So we are committed to moving forward with that work, and we'll be doing that in partnership with council members and community.
Here, and then Chris, and then I'm going to jump back over on this side. All right, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I thought you pointed here. Mayor, you've blamed much of the failures on Sunday night, the communications failures on Sunday night on the police department, and said that you didn't know that communication wasn't happening. Why didn't you know?
Yeah, and I want to be clear that I think there were gaps in communication all around, and I definitely want to own my part in that, right? I think part of this is communication failures within SPD, and part of that is communication failures between SPD and my office. And so we're taking steps now, both internally at SPD, to review protocols, make sure that they're being implemented so that there is clear and consistent, appropriate communication with the public much earlier when an incident like that happens. And that includes improving communication between my office and SPD. And I think, just to be very clear, one part that I want to take some responsibility for is just thinking back to the press conferences earlier this week, right? I should not have defended the failure to use Alert Seattle to get information out to the public. In our after-action review, I've since learned that there was a miscommunication between departments that led to that tool not being used when it actually would have been a good tool to use. So I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from and how Sunday unfolded, and we're really committed to moving forward in a better way. And this leadership change, I think, will facilitate that.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, members of the public are telling me that it appears, the optics are, that you are making Chief Barnes the fall guy for missteps that happened after the Seattle Center shooting, including the 5-hour lack of information, except for a statement from your office which contained errors. What do you want members of the public who say you've made him the fall guy?
Yeah, I'll just say again, I firmly believe that I'm making the right decision at the right time, and part of this is a feeling of urgency around upcoming events this summer, including this weekend, wanting to make sure that we have the right leadership in place at SPD, the right communications protocols, so that as we move forward, we can be much clearer with the public if something like that should happen again.
In place with that fast a switch in leadership, are we going to be ready this weekend?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to open it up if Chief Sayles wants to say anything about our preparations for this weekend. But again, we have seasoned, experienced leadership that has been already doing this work. And so we are confident as we move forward into the weekend.
Mayor, this is obviously the biggest decision you've made during your term. The council is not here. The council is not standing behind you. The council, as you know, has criticized, and I want to get down to their exact words. Joy Hollingsworth, the council president, called this move irresponsible and it's a tad bit reckless. Deborah Juarez says the emergent issue is this: you do not fire your chief of police in the middle of a murder investigation. What we're seeing under this administration, her words, are more than just gaffes or missteps. I see a complete lack of leadership, and for some of us, no confidence in this administration. This has reached a level where we have to have a serious conversation about the confidence we have in this executive. So this is your chance to respond to the council. Why should the city of Seattle and this council have confidence in your leadership going forward?
Yeah, I think I'll repeat what I said to one of your colleagues here, which is that I respect their differences of opinion, and as the mayor, as the executive of the city, I do have a different window into our police department than they do, and I'm making the decision that I believe is best and urgent at this time for our police department and for this city.
Mayor, the last two chiefs have been asked to resign by mayors. Is there really a problem going on with these chiefs or within SPD, or is there something bigger systemically happening within City Hall and the relationship with City Hall and SPD?
I think it's no secret that the Seattle Police Department has had a lot of different challenges for a long time, and leadership change is kind of part of those challenges, but certainly not necessarily the root of them. So, I think moving forward, I will be looking for a leader who is really committed to the city, to being here, and really wants to lead the department in a good direction, and that means really building relationships within the department from top to bottom and being both committed to a reform agenda, change when needed, but also in bringing the department along as we do that work. And yeah.
On that, in terms of making this position attractive to whoever is the final pick, right? How are you going to do that if there are concerns, hey, you know, the last two have been ousted?
I mean, I think Seattle's a great city, right? We have great neighborhoods, and I think that the chance to lead a department like this and to contribute to such an amazing community, I think that that is an attractive opportunity.
Returning to the subject of Sunday's investigation, there is still a suspect outstanding. Chief Barnes indicated earlier this week that there is the possibility of there being another suspect. Why has the department not released more information, including a description of the outstanding suspect or suspects?
Yeah, I think I'll defer to the
Thank you for that question. When you look at the gravity of that situation, there were so many people involved over at the Seattle Center. And our investigation team want to make sure that we have the appropriate person that we're looking for. We don't want to have any injustices by taking someone in custody that may not be the actual shooter or involved in that situation. We are working diligently, we are working tirelessly to bring these people to justice. We're going to continue to do that as a police department, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we have it right. We don't want to put someone and take someone's liberties away from them because we think that is the person. We want to know 100% that that is the person and bring that person into justice.
The department still believe there's no danger to the public?
We believe that whenever there's gun violence, there is a danger to the public. And we're going to say that, but we're going to continue to look for that person because guns cause danger to the public. It would be reckless of me to say that it's not, but we're continuing to go out and do what we need to do as a police department. But we know that this situation was amongst two fractions of people, and we're continuing to look for those individuals involved in it.
This is also a question for Interim Chief Sayles. You, like Chief Barnes, maintain a home out of town in Wisconsin, and I wanted to ask how much you typically have been traveling to Wisconsin, and how that will change in this new role.
Thank you for the question. I maintain a home in East King County here. I also have a secondary home in Illinois, not in Wisconsin. I was the police chief in Wisconsin. I do frequently go back to visit my family, probably about every 8 weeks or so, but my wife spends most of her time out here with me. We're looking to make this our home, this our area that we can retire to one day. But right now, we have some kids that we need to get settled, and one day we'll make this area our home. But I currently live in East King County.
Mayor, this is a question for you. You talk a lot about transparency and trust. This is something that you campaigned on. So why did it take more than nearly 24 hours for the community and even council members to know what was happening with Chief Barnes? And can you be transparent about maybe the one single decision that Barnes made that it caused you to lose confidence in his leadership, or was this just solely about what happened at the Fight of Seattle and that miscommunication?
Yeah, absolutely. So conversations between me and my office and Chief Barnes over the last couple of days, these are confidential personnel conversations, and we had to have those conversations and come to the agreement around our path forward, around a resignation. We also had to have conversations with potential interim chiefs. These are sensitive, confidential matters, and so it was simply not appropriate or possible for us to share the outcome or details of those conversations until those agreements and decisions had been made. And I know that, rumors were flying around and there was impatience, but this is simply part of leading a large organization where you have to have sometimes these confidential processes.
Why not have these conversations and maybe even alert city council members who, even the public chair of the safety committee said that he never received a phone call, that they found out, many of them, through the local media?
Yeah, we were in the process of having conversations with council members, and rumors started flying before we were able to complete those calls.
So you talk about the rumors and the speculation. I think it's because there's related information and the transparency of what happened Sunday night. So I just want to ask again. You have command staff who was there in those meetings. Many of them are here tonight. We're hearing that your office told them to hold off on media briefings. Are you telling the truth when it comes to that night about your office telling them to hold off?
Yeah, so to be transparent about what happened, the piece of this that my office was directly involved in and that I want to own is in the time period from 9:45 p.m. to 10:45 p.m. when the press conference ultimately took place. I learned at 9:40 p.m., 5 minutes before 9:45, that a press conference was being planned at Seattle Center. At that time, if I had known that next to no information apart from my own office's blog post, had been shared with the public since the time of the incident at 6 p.m., I would have immediately said, yes, tell the press everything you know. In that, absolutely no direction from my office not to share information.
You had no communication from your office to anybody at SPD at that time?
We had communication, but we were not directing anyone to not share information.
No information was coming out for 5 hours. How did you not know? Did you not turn on the TV? Did you not look at an app on your phone and no one in your
I was not
administration
watching the
did?
TV that evening.
Did no one in your administration knew that no information was going out to the public about a mass shooting that happened at the Seattle Center? No one knew.
The reason why we put out a statement on our website around 8:45 p.m. is because at that point we did realize that nothing was getting out there, and we knew that the public was desperate for information. So we put out a statement with the best information we had at that time from SPD, which, as everyone knows, included some misinformation about the number of suspects who had been taken into custody.
Get on the dime, please.
Communications were flying around, and I personally, at 9:40, was not aware that basic information such as the status of Seattle Center campus and information about potential suspects at large had not gotten out in any form. And that information should have been shared earlier. It could have been shared in a number of forms: social media, the SPD blotter, our emergency alert system, potentially an off-site press conference.
There.
Yeah.
It begs the question why.
Sorry, sir. Where is it going to go to the next one? Okay.
So Sunday's miscommunication is bad. What's not understandable is on Monday at 1:30, King County Prosecutor's Office presented evidence that the 19-year-old who died at Seattle Center was actually part of the shooting. Less than 2 hours before that, you held a press conference with the police chief and didn't disclose that information. It is not possible in any world that the King County Prosecutor's Office did not have that information very, very early on Monday. How is it possible that you didn't have that information? And specifically, if it wasn't your office, how did SPD communicate that to KCPAO but not to you?
I will just say that I was not aware of that information at that time. And also, just for everyone's knowledge, that was also the root of the misinformation about 2 suspects being taken into custody. That second suspect, I understand, but I was just clarifying something else for people, which was...
But again, my question is, I think you do owe the public an explanation for how there was a breakdown in communication. Since SPD gave that information to KCPAO, how did it not give it to you?
We did not have that information in my office at that time.
Right here, and then we're going to jump back over here.
Hi. So, tagging along to what my colleague said over here, since 2000 there have been around 10 police chiefs, and only one of them have been temporary or only one of them have not been temporary or fired. So I've been hearing a lot of, I will do this, I will do that for the next police chief, but I've also been hearing a lot about community. So how are you, especially in such a short time, going to get the community aspect on a good police chief, especially in the Chinatown International District, a place that had been neglected by Seattle police so much?
Yeah, so we are committed to making sure that communities around Seattle are involved in this process, and so we're going to be working on that, and we'll come out with more of a plan soon.
But I didn't hear you mention the CPC, I didn't hear you mention CARE, I didn't hear you mention the BIA, who does a lot of work in Chinatown, or We Deliver Care. So who specifically will be involved in these conversations if it's not the people who live here?
It is the people who live here, and communities around our city and many organizations have a stake in this process. And so I'm not going to list them because there's going to be some I don't list, right? But we're going to create a process that invites input from multiple angles.
Okay, all the way to the back there. You can have your hand up. And then we'll go you with the yellow tie? Yeah.
Me? Okay. For Chief Sayles, What can you disclose right now about the search for a suspect or suspects? What is the status of this? What does the public need to know about this? How can they help? What is the situation as far as finding this person?
I think we're very close in that finding that suspect and taking that suspect in custody. I've been working with Assistant Chief Nicole Powell on this matter. After we're done here today, we're going to meet with our detectives on this and then start moving forward in the right way. Like I said earlier, to bring the right person to justice. We want to identify the correct person. We don't want to have a person that's arrested that may have just been running to save their lives. It is paramount that we get the correct person. I do not want our police department to be put in a bad situation where we're arresting the wrong person. I wish I could give you that information right now, but for the integrity of that investigation, we want to keep that close to the vest right now and make sure our detectives have the best angle to take that person into custody. We're going to get there, and that's what we're doing.
One person or persons?
I'm sorry.
Searching for one person or multiple people?
Multiple people.
Chief, is your home in Seattle? Is your home in East King County in Seattle?
It's not.
Thank you.
Mayor Wilson, there have been a lot of questions in the room today about your relative lack of experience. It's something that was brought up on the campaign trail. Black community leaders brought it up yesterday. As Chris alluded to, council members have brought it up as well. You're 7 months into the job. What can you say to community members who are concerned that you have not, at this point, shown the leadership capability to run this city for 3 more years?
I'll just say I'm working with a great team, and I believe that we are making the right decisions for this city.
2 quick questions. So was the chief of Barnes the fact that he never fully moved to Seattle, that he was out of town a lot? Was that an issue for you, that he wasn't here?
Again, there were multiple factors that figured into the conversations between me and Chief Barnes that led to the decision that he would resign.
How does this severance agreement work? Does he receive an extra year's pay? Was there a sweetener thrown in?
We had conversations about the terms of that agreement, and we came to an agreement. I'm not going to be sharing details of that at this time.
With a statement that came out yesterday afternoon from the Police Officers Guild, it just said that with your administration, there's been confusion, mixed messages, and chaos surrounding Barnes, and that public safety does not seem to be your priority. I want you to just address that. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say again that there were really good reasons why we weren't able to offer information about Chief Barnes and our path forward until we had actually finalized those agreements and decisions. And as soon as we did that, we sent out a release yesterday and planned this press conference.
Are you placing that?
By any measure, the chief's tenure here was successful. Do you agree with that? And if not, what was the straw that broke the camel's back?
I will just repeat that as the mayor, I have a different window into the police department than many of our council members, and I made the decision that I firmly believe was the right one at this time as we are moving forward with the summer to put us in the best position to keep our community safe and to communicate transparently with the public.
What deserves more than that, though, Mayor? Respectfully, you can say I have this window into the police department that nobody else has, but that's not good enough for the public. What wasn't Sean Barnes getting done? Crime is down, recruitment is up, major progress has been made in the last year and a half under his tenure. What wasn't he getting done?
I'm grateful for Chief Barnes' service, and I outlined in my remarks some of the qualities that I will be looking for in the next chief. I would just say that I believe that the path we are on now is the one that is going to put us in the best position to achieve our public safety outcomes, and that includes transparent communication with the public, that includes operational relationships throughout the department that are going to allow us to actually achieve our goals.
There's a cloak of secrecy that you are promoting right now. It's a cloak of secrecy. There's a cloak of secrecy here. We've asked multiple times. Number of media outlets have asked the same question. You're refusing to give us transparent answers on the reasons why. Do you think that that's going to create more of a problem moving forward, whoever takes over SPD, that it's going to create this culture of secrecy on no transparency?
I think there is a lot of information out there that can suggest to people the reasons why this decision was made. What I'm saying is that there were multiple factors. The events of Sunday certainly played into it, and I think we've discussed some of the gaps and lapses that happened. And again, my decision here is based on what I believe is going to be best for this department and for the city moving forward.
Your process and how you're going to be working with the mayor here? It sounds like there's some concerns that.
Yes, I think the biggest thing is, first, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Chief Barnes and I are friends. We will remain friends. I had the opportunity to come over with him from Wisconsin and our work that we did together. And then also my friend and colleague, Yvonne Underwood, that we've known for several years, had a role with me coming in here. I think this morning when I had a meeting with the mayor, some of the things that we're going to do as a police department is to be very proactive. If you look at some of my statistics from when I was in Beloit, Wisconsin, we were a very proactive police department, identifying the individuals that are causing the gun violence and the gang problems in that city. And we're going to identify them here in Seattle, and we're going to put an effort, a concerted effort, into identifying those individuals, making the appropriate arrests, and sending them over to the King County Prosecutor's Office. The message that I received this morning and the message that I gave to the mayor aligns with what we want to do. It's about public safety. It's about being committed and working together, not just as a police department, but as the police department, the mayor's office, and the council members of this city of Seattle, and working with our outreach groups. It takes all of us. And I know it's cliche, but it takes the village to save some of these individuals in this community, and that's what we're going to do. So that's the message that we have.
One more question, and it's going to go to Connor because I called him.
Mayor Wilson, you said that you do have a window into SPD. So when were you aware of former Chief Barnes's travels, and for transparency that you said that you want to have for SPD, are you going to release his full calendar to show exactly how much he actually traveled during his tenure?
We can discuss releasing that. I think that should be a matter of public record.
Specifically, you said you have a window into
Of travel specifically?
Yeah, of how often he traveled.
I mean, I think that has been something that has been discussed in public for quite some time.
Thank you, everyone.
I do have one
Chief, are you going to seek a job permanently?
You said that you were friends with former Chief Sean Barnes. I don't know if there's been any conversations with him today and any advice that he's given you to take over this department.
I'd like to keep that matter private between him and I.
Are you seeking it permanently?
That's way too early for me to discuss that. It's been a very busy last 5 days.
Are you making any command changes?
Not at this moment.
Okay,
Chief. Mayor, you've made it sound like there was an agreement between you and Chief Barnes to leave. But isn't the fact of the matter that you gave him an ultimatum that he would either leave or he'd be terminated?
I asked him to resign.